Hey, Nerf Herders, I'm Addy Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View. We got our news show. We're going to get right into the news, but before we get there, just want to remind you can go to our website, certainpov.com, for all of our other podcasts, all of our feeds. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and share those podcasts with your friends and with your family. All of that, again, certainpov.com. And let's get right into the news just because we got a ton. So Marvel's getting into the scripted podcasting game, and I have to say I'm a little like, I wish I could work on this show.
This is right up your alley, man. This is like your wet dream come true.
Right? So it's launching in spring of next year, and it's called Wolverine: The Long Night. And it'll start with a 10-episode season premiering on Stitcher's premium service, where it will be an exclusive until it makes its way to other platforms in the fall. So Marvel describes the project as a hybrid of mystery and the larger-scale fantasy, following a pair of agents on the trail of a serial killer in Alaska. The main suspect, naturally, is everyone's favorite metal skeleton Canadian mutant, Wolverine, voiced by Richard Armitage, probably best known for his role as Thorin Oakenshield in the Hobbit film trilogy. In fact, Marvel's pulled together a pretty solid voice cast for this first adventure into the genre. They have included 30 Rock's Scott Adsit, Christopher Guest regular Bob Balaban, and Brian Stokes Mitchell of Mr. Robot. There will also be a few cameos along the way, including, oddly enough, comedian and podcaster Chris Gethard. The companies are going full-on radio drama for this one with sound effects recorded in surround sound as the agents travel through the forests and cabins for Logan. The effects could either be really cool or maybe a bit goofy. We'll see how execution is. I'm going to bet on cool. But thankfully, Marvel and Stitcher have enlisted what looks to be an equally capable production team for the project, including comic writer Ben Percy, director Brendan Baker, and sound designer Chloe Prasinos, who worked on Reply All for Gimlet prior to joining up on this project.
Oh, excellent. Okay, cool. I mean, I'm going to wait for it. I'm not going to pay for Stitcher.
Right.
Although, because I just saw we're on Spotify.
We're on Spotify?
We are on Spotify, guys.
That's official, guys. Like, we are literally finding it out right now.
I literally I was like, oh, let me just see if we're actually, oh my God, there we are.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm so happy.
Yeah, so there goes my iPod app. Like, forget that. Like, I'm getting off the stupid iPhone. I'm getting a Droid phone finally.
See, the thing is, I have an app that's really, really good for podcasts because it also has the speed changer.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like
which the iPhone pod app has.
What?
The iPhone app does that.
Right, but I don't have an iPhone. And then the other thing is like all my other podcasts are probably not going to be on Spotify. So
they're open to everybody now.
Well, hopefully they start getting on there.
Yeah. So as people submit, they'll go, and as long as they don't break the terms of service.
Yeah,
it'll be there. Good, so I'm super excited about the Marvel show.
Yeah,
that sounds nice. I can't wait for it to be on Spotify.
Right. All right, well, next year Marvel will release Marvel Rising: Secret Warriors, a feature-length animated movie starring a new generation of heroes. The new animated franchise will be focused on Captain Marvel, played by Kim Raver, as she trains the next generation of Marvel heroes, who in the comics have all saved the world in one way or another. There will be Kamala Khan, who's played by Catherine Kavari, America Chavez, played by Sierra Ramirez, Squirrel Girl, who will be played by Milana Weintraub, who's also playing her in an ABC series that's expected in the next year or so. I'm not sure what the timeline for that is. There's Patriot, played by Camille McFadden, Inferno, played by Tyler Posey, and Quake, played by Agents of S.H.I.E.L.'s Chloe Bennett, who also plays Quake. And then Spider-Gwen, who is played by Dove Cameron. They'll all team up to take on Hala, played by Ming-Na Wen, also from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
okay.
A Kree accuser who is hellbent on destroying the Earth. Before Secret Warriors drops, though, in 2018, the heroes will begin to join forces over the course of 4 6-minute-long digital shorts following Spider-Gwen as she adopts the new codename Ghost Spider. What's interesting about this, though, is Dove Cameron, who will voice Spider-Gwen, is also joining Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this season, but her character name on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has not been announced yet.
So what's why?
So it's kind of interesting. So you've got two people So you got Chloe Bennett, who's playing Quake, who she is already, and then you also have Milana Weintraub, who's also going to already be playing Squirrel Girl.
So, so the theory is that
is there a possibility for Spider-Gwen
in the AOS?
Well, and Kree.
I mean,
Kree accuser who's threatening to destroy Earth.
Yeah. I mean, they would have to time travel back to current times.
Well, if this is future, like let's say, so we know that Captain Marvel in the 90s is going to be Brie Larson. Right. So Kim Raver, like she's a little bit older, like could be Captain Marvel.
Could just
in the
be
future.
A splinter off universe. Could be Earth 615 or whatever.
Yeah, it could be an alternate universe. I think it's sort of an interesting.
Which is
theory.
kind of what they're like playing with on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
With we're on 616.
Well, they actually kind of. I think they kind of already used that to just say, because it feels like every episode they've been saying, no, this isn't what you think here, because like they did the spear reference to reference sword.
Right.
They were like, oh, it looks like that's not going to be
it.
And then 616 was like, no, this is not going to be an alternate universe. Right. I felt like they're keeping on telling us what it's
teasing
not.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be cool if we did get Spider-Gwen in AOS. Yeah. I don't know how it would fit right now, but I'm totally open to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because like where this season of AOS is going is so murky to me.
Oh yeah, it's completely up in the air right now.
So like we could totally get Spider-Gwen, and it would be like, oh, that makes sense.
Did you see the trailer for this?
No,
I think I sent it to you.
I didn't watch it.
Should I pause it?
Oh, this is the spider. This is not the spider one. This is no, I haven't.
No, this is not the Spider-Man one. You're thinking Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, which we'll talk about later today.
Yeah, we'll watch it after.
Okay, cool. It you know what? This also though, leaving those theories aside, this does feel a lot like the Forces of Destiny, because there's a lot of like minority characters and female characters.
Yeah, I was noticing that in the lineup, and I was like, that's fine.
But it's also cool. Like, I'm glad they're doing a little bit more animation, because that's one of the things Marvel and even DC's fallen from where it used to be with animation.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's doing a whole lot of really good superhero animation right now. And to me, that is the best format for superhero storytelling. Like, I love the live action movies, but the cartoons have always been sort of my favorite stuff. Like, even right now with Star Wars, my favorite stuff is really Rebels, and sort of like like finishing off what they were doing in Clone Wars as well. So I don't know. Like I'd like to see them sort of recommit a little bit to that and get some better content out there. So Stannis Baratheon might have been a major contender for the Iron Throne, but actor Stephen Delane had no idea what was going on in Westeros. So much like his character, Delane was forced to rely on his second-in-command to explain things. In an interview with the London Times, Delane reflected on his time as Stannis on Game of Thrones, indicating he wasn't happy with his performance on the series. He leaned heavily on Liam Cunningham, who played Sir Davos Seaworth, to provide some context, but even that wasn't enough to help him grasp the world of Westeros. I just thought that was so amusing, because it just felt like he was so out of place. Like that world was not meant for Stannis.
Yeah, it makes sense. It really does. Now that you say it, you're like, oh, excuse me. I totally get where his why he acted the way some of the choices that he made in his scenes, because I was like, what the hell? Like, this guy just seems confused. That's an interesting choice for that character. Turns out he was confused. No damn idea what was happening on, just like the rest of us half the time. Read a book though, like it wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah,
like,
he didn't read the books. That was also
clearly,
the interview.
Clearly.
All right, well, Quentin Tarantino has pitched a Star Trek movie, and J.J. Abrams is assembling a writer's room with Tarantino to move forward with what potentially could be the first R-rated Star Trek movie.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts about this.
Sure.
One, this is amazing. Tarantino and Star Trek is like oil and water.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see where this is going. Like, you're going forward. Like, you're boldly going where Star Trek has not gone before.
Yes, forward in certain ways. But he's also a guy, like, let's also remember Tarantino loves his homages too.
He does, absolutely. And he
loves great dialogue. That's
he
for
Tarantinos
sure.
them.
Yeah.
Like, when you're seeing a Tarantino script or a Tarantino film.
That's true.
And that is not that is not what we've traditionally gotten out of Star Trek.
Yeah, well, he's one of those guys that you just don't expect to play in a big franchise ever, because he's such an auteur.
Right, exactly. And he doesn't paint in the lines.
Yeah.
And he doesn't I don't see this actually coming to fruition.
Yeah.
I don't see how this is I just don't see how it's going to work.
Yeah.
I think a couple things are going to happen. I think people are going to like, this sounds great on paper.
Right.
Like to a studio exec, they're like, oh yeah, we got J.J. Abrams and we got Quentin Tarantino playing in Star Trek. Like that's like the Holy Trinity. Like some idiot like just thinking like that, like this is going to work out well. But for all the reasons that we just explained about Tarantino, and then you add in the fanboy internet reaction.
Yeah, the fanboy part is the thing I'm concerned about. And it's the Trekkers, not the Trekkies. I didn't realize there was a difference, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Because the Trekkers are the ones who find the term Trekkies
offensive.
And the Trekkies are the people who are like, they're hardcore Star Trek fans, but they're a little bit more like...
They're a little more mainstream.
Yeah.
They'll watch Star Wars too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see how, like I think there's going to be a big uproar about Gene Roddenberry's original vision and how that fits into Samuel L. Jackson as a Klingon yelling motherfucker every like third line.
Right.
Like I don't see, I just see like this becoming just a mess and not ever happening.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far. I think the Star Trek...
You think it'll happen?
I think crazier things have happened, and I think the other thing is if Abrams is behind it, Abrams. I actually think Abrams is a better producer than he is a director. I like when he works with other directors, like because he's a producer on Westworld. He's sure, there's been some misses here and there, but
overall the stuff that he produces is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Person of Interest was another one he produced, along with a couple other guys too. But I like the idea of Abrams collaborating. I like that he's working on finding a writer's room. Like this is at such an early stage. So of course this could totally fizzle out. Like Tarantino could just find, this is not what I want to be a part of my filmography, since that's such an important piece of the way he views his career and his sort of body of work. So I can see that happening. But that being said, there is sort of this feeling that Star Trek really needs to reinvigorate itself, because the Abrams trilogy, well, the first two movies, and then I can't remember who directed the third movie, Star Trek Beyond, I think it was, which I thought was okay.
I thought they were all okay.
Yeah. I like the first one the best out of those three, and I say that as a Star Wars fan, not a Trek fan at all. I've watched maybe 3 episodes scattered, and I can't even tell you which series they were. I think it's 2 fine. Of them were next gen.
It's fine.
But that being said, I don't have the same sort of
investment.
Yeah. So, but that being said, maybe this could be something to really reinvigorate the franchise, and this is just one piece of the franchise. This isn't the end all be all. There's other people who can play in it. Viewing this as a Star Wars fan, I want to see other people play in the Star Wars universe.
In the same way that we want DC to do well in the superhero universe,
right?
For Marvel's sake, it's good for everybody.
No, not quite that, but no, I like as a Star Wars fan, I want to see different people play in the Star Wars universe and different storytelling, and I think a Tarantino story isn't a bad idea, because again, there are a lot of great elements in terms of his characters, in terms of his dialogue. If you kind of boil down,
he can do it. I remember he directed an episode of ER back in ER's heyday.
Yeah. And
it was a really, really good episode. You could tell it was Tarantino. There were signature Tarantino shots. There was the trunk shot.
Yeah.
Where you open up the trunk and you
look at shot.
Yeah. There was little hints like that, and I think he was even had a little guest spot on it or whatever. But you were like, oh, this is definitely Tarantino's episode. But he was able to play in that universe. I don't know. I feel for that to happen sometimes though. And I think Marvel did a really good job of this, of is taking a series of movies and establishing hard line facts of here's what our universe is. These are the rules. These are the parameters. These are the expectations.
Right.
And now they're letting guys like James Gunn and other people kind of play in that universe.
You think Star Trek needs to reestablish itself a little bit more before you get...
I feel that way about Star Trek. I feel that way about Star Wars.
Yeah.
I feel that way about DC.
Yeah.
I feel like Marvel is really the only one who has earned enough trust within the fanboy community that when we go, James Gunn's making a movie, okay, let's see what happens.
Right.
Like, so far things have been pretty good. Like, we had some misses, but so far things have been pretty good.
Right.
Whereas you're like in Star Trek, in the Star Trek universe, like people haven't loved J.J. Abrams' reboot.
Yeah.
You know, so there's already a lot of controversy about like, well, this universe sucks already.
Yeah. And Beyond is sort of the same, very controversial.
Yeah, like where it's a real split as to how people feel about it. So, you know, like when you start doing this in that, I think that you run the risk of having a failure of a movie, quote unquote, just at the box office because you don't have that goodwill from your loyal fan base. Yeah. That's my fear about this. Not that Tarantino would make a bad Star Trek movie. I'm vastly curious to see what Tarantino's take on the Star Trek universe really looks like.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Star Trek is ready for Tarantino.
Yeah, he loves playing with race and social issues all the time.
He does, but people
Star
don't
Trek,
like the way he plays with them.
True.
And I don't know that the way he plays with them fits into the Star Trek philosophy of how race and ethics and stuff like that is kind of viewed.
Do you think he's more of a Star Wars or a Star Trek guy based on that?
I think he's more of an old school Star Trek, like original series Star Trek.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think he fits in with like the next generation thought process. And I mean, it was so politically correct. Like it was so perfect. Like everybody respected each other and loved each other. And like, you know, like we kind of don't like the Romulans, and we kind of hate the Klingons a little bit, but you know, we can work it out, guys. If we all just sit down with some tea and talk it over. Like there's a lot of talking.
Right.
And I don't see that out of Tarantino. I don't see Tarantino doing like a diplomacy movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know that I just have a hard time seeing him in either one of those universes.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what his story is, and I'm almost willing to bet that we never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that happening. Well, Pokemon Go introduced a new dynamic weather system that will change the way trainers around the world discover, catch, and interact with Pokemon. The in-game mapping will be updated with new weather visuals and weather near you, and it will impact Pokemon in a variety of ways. For example, you'll find your odds of discovering Mudkip splashing around will greatly improve on rainy days, as certain Pokemon types will be more commonly found during various weather conditions. Additionally, attacks of certain types will be more effective during some weather conditions, so a Charizard's Fire Spin will perform better on sunny days, for example.
So I found this out on Saturday because Friday after school, my daughter came home from school and her eye was just swollen shut. And we were like, what the hell is going on? And it's just pussy and just red. And we're like, oh, you got pink eye. God damn it. So I had to take her to the clinic first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So that, because like, I was like, no way are we not sending her to school because of freaking pink eye. You have to have medicine in her for 24 hours.
Right.
So Saturday morning, first thing in the snow, we drive to the clinic to do it. And you know, we're sitting in the waiting room waiting. There's nothing else to do. So I just turned on my phone and handed it to her. Here, Pokemon Go, here, play this for her. We'll catch some Pokemon while we're sitting here.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, it's snowing on the screen. And I'm like, what?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I had no idea. So that was my first surprise. And it's cool. Like it worked. Like we were catching like, I don't know what Pokemon you catch in the snow. I don't remember.
Sure, yeah.
We caught some rare one. Yeah, she was all excited. I can't wait to tell Aiden. But whatever. And it's cool. It's not enough to make me want to continue to play the game.
Well, they got to get that combat system. They got to get player versus player combat better.
Trading.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff that they need to fix in that game that I don't think they have any intention of fixing.
No, because they're already moving on to the Harry Potter one.
Right.
So. Ryan Reynolds will star as Pikachu in 2018's Detective Pikachu movie, the first ever live-action Pokemon movie.
He's playing as Pikachu? I thought he was playing as a Detective Pikachu.
Pikachu's the detective.
And he's playing Pikachu.
Yes, so Reynolds will not only voice the character, but he'll also be doing the motion capture on set.
I don't fucking understand this.
Well, so here's the bit of the plot. So you can start understanding. The story has a young boy teaming up with a talking Pikachu as they go on an adventure together to find the boy's missing father.
But Pikachu only says one thing.
Well, maybe this is a special Pikachu, or maybe this is like the boy, like this is actually the boy's consciousness, and he just imagines Pikachu. Maybe it's Memento with Pokemon. You know, like
that I would watch. I would totally watch it. Or what's the one with the kid on the raft and the tiger?
Life of Pi. That's what I was thinking too.
It could be that.
Either
it's like
that
the Life
or
of Pi.
Pikachu is Kaiser Sose, and you know.
Either way, what? I don't know.
This could be the best thing ever.
If he plays it as well as he plays Deadpool, or if he plays it as Deadpool.
First off, it's Ryan Reynolds. I feel like they've already indicated the kind of guy, like the kind of voice they want for Pikachu.
Right.
So I'm already on board.
I love Ryan Reynolds. I've loved him since Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. I'm in. I'll watch it. I may or may not watch it in the theaters, but I am excited about it.
Well, Star Wars under Disney has had its share of behind-the-scenes drama with its directors like Gareth Edwards, Josh Trank, Colin Trevorrow, and Lord and Miller, and much of that drama appears to be differing visions between Kathleen Kennedy as a producer and those various directors, which is a little surprising that Kennedy responded positively to a reporter asking if a Taika Waititi-helmed Star Wars movie was a possibility. She said that Waititi, who just came off the success of Thor Ragnarok, has exactly the right sensibility for the series. As it happens, Waititi has actually addressed this particular question before, back in October when he was doing press for Ragnarok in a New York Times interview. He said, "That particular franchise seems really hard. There's not much room for someone like me. Through its narrow canon, the tone of Star Wars has always been determinedly self-serious." I want Taika Waititi's Star Wars, and I don't agree that it is as self-serious. I think great Star Wars isn't as... it's serious when it needs to be, but it's also fun when it needs to be, which is what A New Hope is a fun movie.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It strikes that really well.
Even Empire has a lot of fun moments. Let's not, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff with Han.
Or Laugh It Up Fuzzball.
Yeah.
And
well, Laugh It Up Fuzzball is A New Hope, but...
Is it? I thought that was...
Oh, yeah, that is Empire. That is Empire.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I was thinking Against Smelly Carpet. Yeah.
There's a I'm fine with it. I think you've got to establish that universe before you let other people play with it.
As we're getting further into the Star Wars movies, as we're getting into their version of Phase 2, I think it's possible to reach out. Let me ask you this: if I don't know if you, I have an idea for a Taika Waititi Star Wars movie. Do you have any ideas what you would want to see him do?
I would involve Jawas.
Oh, really? I didn't think about that, but I kind of like that.
Definitely involve Jawas. I feel like the Jawas are like the Kiwis of the Star Wars universe.
I was going to say the IG-88 and Bosk Buddy Bounty Hunter movie.
Would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd watch that. Or Dengar, something to do with Dengar.
Right. Honestly, as I think about it more and more, because I've always been a fan of a Boba Fett movie if it's a Bounty Hunters movie.
Yeah.
I kind of want a Bounty Hunters movie just without Boba Fett at this point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Get Dengar, get 4LOM, get Zuckuss, get IG-88, and Aura Singh and Bosk.
Yeah.
You got to get Bosk and IG-88.
Bosk
those are my those are my two. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd watch that for sure. Absolutely. Have them hunting Boba Fett.
Right.
So we don't have to see him all the time.
Yeah.
Just have Boba on the run. And that's what I would call it. Boba
on the run.
Or Boba Fett run. It would be and then have a cannonball run kind of feel to it. Yeah.
So an Obi-Wan Kenobi spinoff movie is rumored. It's still not official, but it's rumored to begin filming at Pinewood Studios sometime in January of 2019, putting it on track for a 2020 release. In other future Star Wars movie news, Rian Johnson has confirmed his new trilogy will not be an adaptation of Knights of the Old Republic.
All right, well that's two big bombshells right there.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite character in all of Star Wars lore that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I don't want an Obi-Wan movie.
As time goes on, I feel that way, but I also want Ewan McGregor to be in a good Star Wars movie.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice. That does seem fair.
Yeah.
That does seem fair.
He was so good in those crappy movies.
He was. He really was the bright spot and all that. He acted his ass off. He really made that role his.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what there's left to tell, though. That's the problem. I don't know what else can you tell about Obi-Wan Kenobi that we haven't seen before that we go, I know that character a little bit better.
Right.
I mean, you can make a great Obi-Wan story, but at the end of the day, you're like, kind of knew that. If he has the high ground, he wins.
I feel like in some ways it would be a lot like what Logan was like.
Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
Didn't we get that in A New Hope?
Well, no, definitely not. Not at all.
I mean, we're like, Obi's just like grinding his way through the Death Star, and then finally he's just like, you know what, just hit me. I'm done with this shit.
I'll become more powerful.
I kind of like dismissive, grumpy Obi-Wan.
Well, it sounds more like Harrison Ford.
It does. It does.
Well, a December poll from Morning Consult, a consulting agency, asked 2,200 folks about their opinions on Star Wars movies, then cross-tabulated that with their demographics and political preferences. The poll asked respondents their opinions on 25 major characters from the saga. Leia came out on top with a 73% favorability rating, and Luke, Chewie, Yoda, and R2 were all within 2% of her. It dropped a little bit more for Anakin and Vader. Anakin was at about 55%, Vader at 49%. I guess that happens when you kill younglings, cut off your son's arm or hand. But here's the more interesting part, and unexpected part, is what's going on the other end of the poll. So none of the new trilogy's main characters cracked the 40% favorability mark, and one of them actually has the distinction of being the least popular Star Wars character of all. And so that means Jar Jar Binks is not the least popular Star Wars character. In fact, there's 7 characters after him in this list of 25.
7?
Yes. So here it is. So, and I think part of this is because now that the kids who watch the prequels have grown up, Jar Jar's reputation has resurged a little bit.
Right.
At the very least, it's rehabbed a bit. So Jar Jar's at 37%, and he's just below Rey. Okay.
Rey is. Oh my god.
Rey is just above him.
Well, to be fair,
she's new.
Like she's new. We don't really know.
I feel like with the new trilogy, you got to give them a little let's give them the trilogy.
You got to give them the arc to see where they go.
Right. So here's the thing. So
who's below Jar Jar?
Samuel L. Jackson's Mace Windu.
Okay.
It makes sense because it's not Samuel L. Jackson at his best.
No, it is not.
But at least he got the, his party line when he comes into the Geonosian arena.
Yeah.
He got to kill Jango Fett.
He got to kill Jango Fett in kind of a dumb way, but yeah.
I don't think that was dumb. I thought that was all right.
Yeah.
Then Kylo Ren is after Windu.
I get that people think he's whiny.
I'm not. Yeah.
I love Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I'm with him. Emperor Palpatine is next.
I don't get that at all.
I don't either. I mean, Palpatine is like one of our most quotable villains.
He's the best.
Jyn Erso, which makes sense. I'm not surprised by that.
There's not much to like.
There's just not much there.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Wedge Antilles.
I get that.
I'm surprised he's on the list though. Like Poe Dameron,
because casual fans are like, who?
Yeah. Like Poe Dameron is not on this list. So I think if Poe was on this list, he probably would have broken the 40% glass ceiling for new trilogy characters. So after Wedge is Count Dooku, and then at the very bottom is at 26% is Supreme Leader Snoke. There's just so much we don't know about him.
You saw him in a hologram, and he had maybe 6 lines of dialogue in that movie. There's
just as much dialogue for him in the trailers for The Last Jedi.
I think that needle will move a great deal after this movie.
I think so. I think we'll continue to see Dooku at the bottom of that list.
And fairly so. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, Dooku was wasted. I think we all kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
So while we're expecting official news that Disney will buy Fox this week and then a year, of course, to sort of clear regulations and sort out all the legal issues for a merger, Fox is still moving forward with their X-Men movies. Now, another big development that I'm just burying in here, Bryan Singer will no longer be part of X-Men movies going forward. He apparently was fired off of the Freddie Mercury biopic for a whole bunch of drama on set. Apparently the guy just leaves set for days on end.
He's always done that.
Yeah, well, Jennifer Lawrence was complaining about that and was saying that right now the experience with Simon Kinberg on Dark Phoenix is so much better. That she was glad she came back because Kinberg actually was the director
instead of Singer.
Yeah, so this is the more interesting thing right here, because Dark Phoenix is one of those movies that I know you and I aren't particularly interested in because it's the Phoenix Saga. I actually have a little bit more hope after I read this story. So it appears Dark Phoenix director Simon Kinberg may have learned some valuable lessons from past X mistakes and X successes. Kinberg, who wrote and produced Apocalypse, added to Jennifer Lawrence's recent take in which he called the previous X Productions chaos, with Bryan Singer disappearing for lengths of time. And he admitted that somewhere along the way, the team behind the film just lost their way. He said, "I think we took our eye off of what has always been the bedrock of the franchise, which is these characters. It became about global destruction and visual effects over emotion and character." Kinberg mentioned that Apocalypse's weaknesses helped him understand what he wanted to do with Dark Phoenix, a film with the potential to be similarly effects heavy at the expense of real character development. And rather than simply letting the VFX department run wild with Dark Phoenix's effects, however, Kinberg has made a point of using things like footage of real disasters and photos of how lightning actually strikes the ground. Despite the literally cosmic scale of Dark Phoenix's plot, Kinberg emphasized that his approach to the film, well, he was knowing that it was really key to make it work. To make it work was giving the characters a chance to feel like real people. One of the things I went into this film wanting to do is obviously focus on the characters and give them real emotion to play and come up with a theme that would make it feel relevant and necessary in today's world. Actor Sophie Turner added that, unlike most of the other X-Men films to date, Dark Phoenix is supposedly gritty in a very necessary way so as to balance out its more fantastical elements. Part of achieving that, Turner explained, was shooting the vast majority of the film with handheld cameras. It's interesting. One, I like the fact that they've admitted that Apocalypse was a bad movie. It's sometimes that's tough to get a director to admit that,
right.
They've
mistakes
made
were made.
Right. So, and it feels like they might be learning some of the right lessons from that last movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm still not crazy about it because I don't necessarily want to see the Phoenix Saga again, but that's also because we haven't seen them do the Phoenix Saga right. So, who knows if this is good? I'm still very skeptical of this, but I like a little bit more of their thought process behind this.
The thought process is correct. The story I don't care for.
Yeah.
I'll watch it for sure, and it may be great. It may surprise me and be great. It's not what I want to see as a fan. It's not the story I want to see as a fan. With the merger happening, I'm hoping that what that means is, yes, it takes a year to clear legally, but I hope that it means that Kevin Feige has a lot more input into what's going on in those movies, and that they're smart and like, hey, this is good. This is eventually yours anyway. Let's take some input from Marvel about what's working with their characters.
And he has a lot of good relationships with those guys too, because that's where he started. Lauren Schuler Donner, she's the one who he started out as her assistant on the first X-Men movies.
Right.
So there's the possibilities are that he'll maybe get a little bit of input, hopefully.
Get a producer credit or something like that, which would be good. And I think that they would benefit. And I think the long-term effects, if my theory is correct, that they're bringing the X-Men into the universe eventually anyway, he's going to want to have control about what's going on in those universe rather than just like, all right, well, that's done, and then all of a sudden we're rebooting them again. Like, he's going to kind of want to have some play in there on how that's working.
Right. So let's head over to Warner Brothers, talk a little bit about what they're doing. Warner Brothers is planning to restructure its DC Films operation following Justice League. That's no surprise. John Berg will no longer run the division. He'll produce other Warner Brothers properties. Warner is expected to announce a point person for DC Films. It's not expected to be Jeff Johns, who most likely will remain in his current position as DC Entertainment's chief creative officer. Good. So he's still working on projects in TV and publishing and consumer products as well as film.
That's good.
He's more of an advisory role, though, is expected in the film world. Warner is unsure as to how they want to integrate DC Films, though, because right now it looks like they're leaning more into making it part of the studio's main movie arm, which is similar to how Sony and Fox run their movies. But the other option is to make them more autonomous, similar to how Marvel does it. But right now it seems they're leaning towards the Fox and Sony way. The overall is expected to happen by January.
I don't know. I don't have a real strong feeling either way how they run the.
I'd like to see it as an autonomous house. I mean, it's working. It's worked for Marvel. The other thing is, I actually would like to see Jeff Johns taken out of that picture. I read the Vanity Fair article, and not just because of Cyborg. It's more than just Cyborg. But I actually think that reading there was a really extensive article about Kevin Feige in Vanity Fair recently with just the event that is the Avengers coming up real soon. Right. And there was a lot of really interesting tidbits about sort of his vision and how he worked it and sort of how he maneuvered, the different people he's worked with along the way, some of the relationships that, it didn't work out as well as they hoped, but this was them figuring it out. And some of the misconceptions that people have about how Marvel Studios runs their movies. So it was really fascinating to see that. But one of the big moments, and this is one of the things that hurt Iron Man 3 in some ways, because Iron Man 3 originally, Shane Black wanted Rebecca Hall to be the main villain, not Guy Pearce's character.
Right.
And Ike Perlmutter, who was one of the Disney CEOs, is the guy who's behind getting the Fantastic Four closed down for Marvel Publishing, and getting the X-Men out of there and replacing them with the Inhumans. And there was also a creative committee, including guys like Joe Quesada and some other comic book guys who would give notes, but they weren't really movie guys.
Yeah.
So a lot of those notes kept on interfering with some of these movies, like the early Thor movie, with Iron Man 3 and all of that, because they were so interested in also we can't sell a Mandarin chick, action figure, because they were still a lot of these guys were stuck in some of the old school thought process,
right?
Or they were so comics focused that they weren't as movie
open
focused.
to new ideas,
right? So as much as I like Johnson, I love his Green Lantern run. I don't think he's a movie guy. I think they need to get. I don't know who you get at this point to run the DC movies, because Feige is honestly incomparable.
Yeah.
We don't know of another person. Like there's a Feige, I'm sure, somewhere behind the scenes at Marvel,
but his name isn't just lame.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, finding a guy to run a studio head is even harder than finding a director.
Right.
And finding the right director for a project is nigh impossible sometimes.
Because Feige is a fanboy, but he's also he's smart enough.
He knows the industry really, really well.
Right, and he was there when they were already calling the superhero movies, all superhero movies, dead, and right when they were calling him dead is right when the
everything took off.
Yeah, with that first Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
So it's sort of. Yeah, he's an interesting talent to have, and he's got to be someone who's got to work with big directors and wrangle them, and that's a whole other animal.
Ask Kathleen Kennedy.
Right, right.
She's trying to work with little directors and wrangle them.
And she's already, she has much longer established.
She's way more credits than he does.
Feige,
yeah.
So
she's the most successcucal producer in all of Hollywood ever.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see who can emerge out of this and make it work for DC. I think the hope was, I think there were a lot of people hoping that Nolan would be that guy, but Nolan is not the guy, the right guy for that. He's
a very good director, and he's a very good producer.
Yeah.
He's probably not a studio head.
Right. I think you need a showrunner.
Yeah, and they just lost a huge one because of the sexual scandal in, was it Berlanti or whatever?
For the DC CW universe. Yeah, absolutely.
You would think that would be a good person to move. No, that's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, maybe maybe it's time to look at some TV talent, someone who's worked on enough shows that maybe even has in the way that there's there's coaching trees, we now have director trees.
Right.
Maybe find some guy in the Whedon tree or the Abrams tree somewhere,
right.
that who could probably step up.
Yeah. That isn't going to get a shot in Marvel, but would do good for DC.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know who those names would be. So it's exciting to. Johns is going to stay where he is for now.
Yeah.
We'll see who his boss is.
The guy I would want is the guy who has the shortest attention span in all of Hollywood. But you're never going to make it happen.
No, I don't know. He would be awful. You have a better
Del Toro. Del Toro get
He would be awful. He would be awful.
I would. Who I would actually think would be interesting as a producer, not director, is I would be very interested to see what Peter Jackson can do as a producer. But I don't think we've seen enough of him in that role.
Yeah.
But I liked what he did with District 9 as a producer.
Yeah.
He equipped Neil Blomkamp with that very well with that movie. So, and that's I thought that was a great movie. So
he would be great.
Yeah. So
he could be great. And you could also, it would be an interesting choice and a dangerous choice, but you could throw Kevin Smith into that hat too.
Right.
Because he has such love for that genre and knows that genre so well, specifically DC. And he's done some really great directing stands on the CW shows, specifically Supergirl and Flash. It would be interesting to see him, but I don't think you can get him off a weed long enough
to establish a vision, just to get him started.
Yeah, I think you would have to like spoon feed him that vision.
Right. Well, at Comic-Con Experience 2017 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Warner Brothers revealed its upcoming movies coming from DC Films. So DC Films will be moving forward with a Wonder Woman sequel. Aquaman's going to release next year. And DC showed title cards for the following movies: Flashpoint, Justice League Dark, Suicide Squad 2, Batgirl, Shazam, Green Lantern Corps, and The Batman. Matt Reeves' Batman film is expected to recast Batman. However, Ben Affleck may return as Batman in Flashpoint. Conspicuously absent from the list were the previously announced Cyborg movie and the second Justice League movie. There was also no mention of any of the other Suicide Squad spin-off movies, which were Gotham City Sirens, the Harley Quinn solo movie, the Harley and Joker team-up movie, and the rumored Deadshot solo movie. And neither were the villain-centric movies that they've talked about, including Black Adam, Deathstroke, and the solo Joker movie from Scorsese.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that Joker movie from Scorsese fizzled out. I hope it did.
I think everybody went, wait, what? What are we doing? What are we doing here?
I think that Tarantino Star Trek film has more of a chance than that Joker movie ever did.
Although I kind of would like to see it. Like
Joker?
Yeah, with Scorsese.
Stop.
I would kind of like to see that. Scorsese makes great films.
He does, but there are other villains you could have him do. Just the Joker.
I get it. We're Joker burnt out.
Yeah,
I get it. But in like if they're like talking like, all right, we gotta write it. 3-4 years down the road, if we don't have any more Joker, I'd be willing to see.
Yeah,
I'd be willing to see that.
Yeah,
I would probably be pretty excited to see that.
I was about to say Luthor, but I'm pretty sure that's Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, and that was great. That was a great Luthor. That was a better Luthor than we've gotten so far. So, I would like that. DC canning all of these movies is probably a good thing at this point.
Yeah, don't get over ambitious. Like, let's get 2 or 3 good movies together.
Let's this is the theme of this entire podcast is establish a baseline.
Right.
And then you can get crazy and do some shit, but you gotta establish that baseline.
So let's get into some of the big trailers. Well, actually, just one big trailer that we're... Oh, two. Sorry, two. We got Jessica Jones trailer.
Woo!
I'm excited for that. That feels like it's been so long.
It does. It seems like forever ago.
It's like, what, 2 or 3 years, I think?
Has it been that long?
Yeah,
I feel like it's only been 2.
I think it may be 2.
Yeah, I don't think it's been 3.
Yeah.
But it has felt really long. But we've had a lot of Jessica in the meantime. It's not like we haven't seen her.
Right.
You know, she was in Defenders. She was in Cage.
No, she wasn't. She wasn't in Cage.
Didn't she make an appearance?
In Luke Cage?
Yeah. Season 1? Didn't they had like one episode where she was in it, wasn't it?
No, she didn't show up.
At all?
No, not at all.
No, I must misremember that. Anyway, but she's been Defenders. That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. I mean, she's taking pictures and she's grumpy.
Right.
She's my wife's absolute favorite Defender. Like, she loves Jessica.
Well, she really is. Like, she does a lot for that. She like brings a lot of not just levity, but she also brings a lot of seriousness to it.
And humanity.
She does. She actually does most of the heavy lifting, I think.
Yeah.
For that whole series, because a lot of the other guys are a little bit more over the top with their superhero powers. Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense.
That's good. I'm excited about that.
And we got a trailer for an animated Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse.
Woo!
That looks really cool. I like the animation style.
Finally.
Yeah, we're getting Miles Morales. We're getting him in animation. So.
And it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the animation style does look amazing. It's got sort of like that new anime kind of feel to it.
Sort of a mix between like sort of Western and Eastern sensibilities with it. So
yeah. I'm excited about it.
Down for that.
It looks very cool, and it's being released in theaters.
Yes, which I'm very happy.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the last week in TV. We got a new episode of The Gifted. What were your any thoughts about that?
I remember really liking it.
So this is the one where the kids were exploring the newfound power that their
holding hands.
Said. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
This is brothers and sisters holding hands.
And a really big development, though, is they just got captured.
I feel like the lesson is incest is bad. I feel like that's where we're going with this.
Let's hope that's not the lesson in Last Jedi either.
Right?
Who are Rey's parents?
Oh, no. I'm so sorry. No, I liked it. I mean, it had had some intensity.
Yeah.
And then everybody get captured, and the premonition and the dream, and them running, and everything kind of falling apart.
The fear when they were like about to get caught, like everybody was getting caught behind
one by
them.
one. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And the
like,
Sentinel
was
was chasing them.
Yeah.
I love the new Sentinels.
Yes.
I really do.
I think
they're
really
really
good.
cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're adapting and learning like the real Sentinels.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. It's a cool show. I dig it a lot.
Then we had a series of mid-season finales for our CWDC universe. Supergirl had a good episode. I was not expecting that this time around. I wasn't as crazy as some of the ones going into the one going directly into the crossover was good.
Yeah.
But this one was good because they finally kind of like were developing the new villain.
Yeah.
Where like she's kind of like not totally like in control of of her identity. There's like sort of there's definitely a dual identity thing going on with her.
Okay.
But there's also sort of this prophecy, like there's a spiritual aspect. She's like, she is sort of like this chosen one of a dark cult that had been abolished on Krypton, and that's why she was able, like they shot her off into space to survive.
And so she
well.
survived, right?
Right, but then like so there was a lot of like religious talk.
God, everybody made it off that damn planet.
I know, right? Like who didn't make it off? Really, the Clark's parents didn't.
That's about it.
But there was a lot of like, all right, like how does Supergirl fight belief because she's just brawn? So there's a lot of like there was some interesting thoughts there, and she got beaten the crap out of. It was insane. So it was there were some pretty cool fights in it as well. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Then we had The Flash. Started off, I hated the episode, but by the end of it, I was totally into it. Well, did you see it?
This was. I'm trying to remember what happened. Like it's a blur. What was this?
So
episode
this was
about?
a Christmas. It started off as a Christmas
episode, and they were fighting the metal chick.
Yes, who I don't have any like. She's just not good. Yeah, she was. What I forget her name. She's
Emetod or something like that.
Oh no, you're talking about the character name, or you're talking about the actress name?
No, the character name.
I don't remember.
It's Emetod or something like it's something really like Egyptian sounding.
Yeah, I just don't care.
Yeah.
That being said, the big reveal at the end
was cool.
Yeah, and then having Barry framed for
murder of the Thinker.
Yeah, was
cool.
Yeah, so
it's a good cliffhanger.
It was a good development, and it was not a development that required Barry to run fast.
It was required for him to sit still for a change.
Yeah, and I liked his decision where he's like, "No, I'm not going to run." You know, I thought that was a very interesting choice. I'm not going to play into, what he's expecting. So it'll be.
Or was that what he was expecting?
Or maybe it was. Yeah, like I'm interested to see what happens when we come back from the break. Let's move on to Legends of Tomorrow.
This is they're all getting over the loss of the old guy.
Yes. And then we have the other half of Firestorm. He leaves the team.
That's right. He quit the team.
Yeah.
And we got a replacement.
Yeah.
Leonard Snart.
We got Leonard Snart, but we also got Constantine.
Constantine's back, yeah.
I'm so excited about Constantine.
Yeah. I'd so much rather have Constantine than Firestorm.
Yeah, you know what? And Firestorm had grown on me a little bit because of the dynamic between Victor Garber and
But once you lose that, you just got Jax, and he's kind of a dork.
Yeah, he was just the mechanic on the ship. So
yeah,
they can figure that one out. So I was happy with that. We got even a moment with the big villain. Like we didn't see him, but Mollis, I guess.
Yeah.
So
a little bit more. Yeah.
So I'm
it's coming along. Like that season's really coming along to be interesting.
Yeah.
And seeing what Damien Dark's up to and
I like the Vikings. I have to say the conceit of the episode. I was laughing from the very beginning. Bevo, Tickle Me Elmo,
being the god is like a very C-3PO and the Ewoks kind of a feel to it.
Oh my god, the Ewoks are Vikings, guys. Ben's gonna hate that.
I would have preferred if they were Vikings.
Of course.
It would have made more sense. We were watching Return of the Jedi yesterday.
Yeah,
Jenny and I were watching it, and they were on Endor, and it was the whole scene where like they all get captured by the Ewoks. Yeah.
Whoa.
And Jenny just looks over to him. She goes, Jesus Christ, these Ewoks suck.
Oh, no! Look at what you've done, Ben.
She's like, I forgot how corny these stupid things are.
By the way, you have done something with that Ewok. I can't find it.
No, I didn't.
Uh-huh.
Not since the last time I threw it.
Sure.
I haven't. Honest to God, I haven't. I don't know where he is. I'll help you find him after this so I can throw him again. I do enjoy throwing him.
Well, maybe eventually. I'll have to clean up around here. All right, let's move on. So then we got Arrow. You know what? Arrow is actually the one where I was actually most annoyed at the beginning of it, because it was just like, all right, so now that we're back, here is sort of our real wedding with all the guests that we want for like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It was like, all right, like I just need you to just stop. But then there's a big reveal. Someone on the team has betrayed them, turned in Oliver. And they actually put a good rationale behind it without totally breaking up the team. And it also turns out that he's got his own, like, I guess, Legion of Doom that's been forming up to manipulate things and break up the team, led by, what's-his-face, Benjamin Linus. You know.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
So, the bomber.
Yeah. So I was like, so that, like, at the last minute, it turned out with a pretty good reveal, but it's just, honestly, I feel like if I watch the last 5 minutes of Arrow every week, good. I'll probably be better off.
You know what it is? It's like watching, like Days of Our Lives or something like that.
Yes.
Where you really only need to watch like Friday.
Yes.
And you're good. You don't have to watch all 5 days. You just got to watch the last day of the week, because that's when things happen. That's when the cliffhanger is. And then you just kind of watch it again on Friday to see how it all sums up. And you're like, okay, I keep up with it. Yeah.
All right. So then we got the Runaways. We got a new episode of the Runaways.
Best episode yet.
I liked it a lot. See, the thing is, I really like that they're taking their time with the characters here. I'm glad that, like, we got to know more about his dad and his relationships.
Yeah.
And then we got to see them use their powers.
Yeah.
Which was a cool thing to do.
That's what I've been waiting for. Like, we're like, when are we actually going to get this into being a superhero show?
Right.
Because right now it's just a lot of teenage drama.
Yeah, a lot of angst.
Yeah.
You know, so
So this was good. This was really good. Like seeing them all kind of working together and discovering their powers and getting the backstory and filling in some gaps and stuff like that for the parents was all good. And then like the big reveal at the end about who the guy is. We don't really yet.
Yeah, we don't know exactly who it is, but we have
know who the actor is.
Yeah, right. We know he's just not flaky skin and a mask.
Yes. He's more than that.
Right. He's not just Emperor Palpatine sitting on that bed.
Which would be awesome.
It would be. I was like, oh my God, is it going to be like Darth Malgus? You know?
Did kind of look like him.
Right. Then we got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
So some more development.
Again, really good episode.
More world building.
I like the stuff with Chema.
Yes.
Like that story is the most interesting part of the story to me.
Really? Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit more invested in the sort of like that underworld and how they're working there. So, yeah, I think it's pretty cool right now. Like I'm enjoying all aspects of it, seeing how like they're kind of operating, and I also kind of like the idea of like when they need to send someone to die, they send them on Earth.
They send them to Earth,
and there's roaches, all those creatures. Yeah,
the roaches just come and eat that guy at the end.
Yeah,
it was a great scene.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
It's like a very what's the Vin Diesel movie?
Pitch Black.
Yeah, so it was very Pitch Black feeling about it. Yeah. I'm curious to see. Like I feel like you have that opening shot establishing shot, and I feel very much like it's like they're in the Avengers bunker.
Yeah,
like that's where that's the last place that is survivable.
Right.
I feel like that's kind of what they're hinting at there.
Yeah. Do you think the voice on the radio is Fitz, or do you think it's something else? I think it's someone else.
I think it's someone else.
I think we're gonna have to jump back in time to see what Fitz is doing.
Yeah,
and I think we'll have Fitz reunited with the team.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
But
the fact that he knows that they're there, and you got that note from him,
which was cool.
Yeah.
So
we'll eventually get to him.
Yep. And then finally, the big one, The Walking Dead mid-season finale. What were your thoughts on that?
I thought it was a great mid-season finale.
I thought so too. There was one thing that annoyed me, and I think a lot of people felt annoyed by it too. Was Carl's bite.
Like, where the hell did that come from?
An episode before, apparently.
Apparently, because it didn't they hinted at it none.
Yeah.
None until he gets off of the wall after like kind of hinting at it with Negan.
Yeah.
Like he really hints at it with Negan of like, go ahead and kill me. Like I'm dead. We're all die anyway. Yeah. Like he has a real fatalistic like, I probably got like 6 hours to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you've been walking around here like barking orders and acting like everything's totally normal.
Yeah.
And then he gets off the wall and he's like, limping it. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this kid?
They finally have made Carl cool. Like, because they have not done a good job of that in this series.
Right.
Because he gets taken down by every walker. Like, it could be one by itself that like has one
knock
leg.
Him over.
Yeah. It could be the one-legged walker, and he always gets knocked over. Yeah. Like, what's going on with Carl? Like, you'd think. Like,
and he's supposed to be. Yeah. I mean, they never made him into that badass that he is in the comic books. And I did listen to Gimple's explanation, and I read an article interviewing the actor about this, because I was really kind of like, where did you come up? Like, I like the idea of like killing off Carl. That's fine. I don't have a problem with killing off.
I mean, they killed Judith at the prison in the comics.
Right. I don't have a problem with killing Carl. Whatever. No big deal. That's not what I was really put off by the whole like, where did he get the bite thing?
Yeah, it just seemed out of left field. And it's not the issue of killing him. It's so much
it's like, wow, this was a really weird choice.
That being said, I loved a lot of the other stories. I loved what they did with Ezekiel and with Carol sort of stepping up. I was a little surprised Morgan didn't try to go rescue Ezekiel, but I'm okay that he didn't.
I like that they left that there.
Yeah.
I loved the story with Maggie.
Right?
The saviors.
I knew, because you weren't, if I remember, you weren't crazy about Maggie sort of like evolving into the leader like last season when we were talking about it.
I don't remember. Yeah. I don't really mind it.
Yeah, but I really love what they've done with her.
I think it's been good. Yeah, it's been really well executed for her. I think that's been really, really strong.
And I like the whole idea of building up to the last stand at the hilltop. It's definitely comic inspired. It's definitely there, and we'll spend some time with all these elements trying to reunite and maybe skirmishes along the way.
Yeah.
To get to the last.
I'm
stand
thankful
that
they haven't like squashed the fight already.
Yes.
Like we kind of thought that might happen.
I was so afraid that was going to happen, and I'm glad. I mean, you had to have Negan have a victory. They've done like he raised Alexandria. Which is again very comic. Like they're taking their cues from good source material. So go with it.
It's great. It's smart. I've given Gimple a lot of shit over the last several seasons, but it feels very much like they've taken the very best of the source material, and they've also tweaked it to make it their own too, which is nice. That's a great balance to strike, so that you're not like, well, I already read this in the comic books.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say the standout moment for me though was the conversation with Carl and Negan on
for
the wall.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like the takeaway from that for me is really like Carl. Like Carl is the adult in that relationship. Yes. At that moment. Yeah. And you can see it like the way he talks to Negan and the way he just talks to him like, hey dude, like
he gets him better than anybody else.
No, he understands Negan. Because they're both children growing up in this environment. It's just that Negan is perpetually a child. He acts so childish and so over the top ridiculous. Yeah. Like you would expect a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old to act. Yeah. And Carl like has finally come to a place where he's like, hey man, like we can't just keep doing this. Like we got to grow up at some point. Like this is just going to end badly.
Which is very interesting because in the comics, just this past week I read the last issue before they're about to launch into a major arc, and for all intents and purposes, it sounds like the issue I read was just about Negan. Uh-huh. And it was really good. It was sort of like closing up Negan as a character, is the impression I got. But there was like some really amazing stuff with him and where he like sort of his development as a character. Right. And they've taken a character who's so one-dimensional early on and given him so many layers and given him a lot of interesting complexity and a lot of interesting motivation and a really amazing conversation between him and Maggie that was just heartbreaking. And where you felt for Negan and you felt for Maggie.
That's great writing. Yeah. That's great writing. Like, we need more of that on the TV show. Because I don't...
They haven't accomplished that yet. Yeah. That being said, it was a long way for them to get there.
For sure. Negan, absolutely. So. I get that. But There's been plenty of opportunity to do that with other people.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes they go for the cheap thrill instead of the character development.
The only reason I disagree a little bit is I like them keeping him as a very menacing threat for a longer time.
For sure.
Because that was one of the mistakes they made with the governor.
Not criticizing that about Negan.
No, but I think that's one of the things. Because people have talked about him being very one-dimensional, and they're just not as into him. And I think the problem is, like, and I don't know, maybe some people are bigger fans of the governor, the way they did the governor on the TV show. But the governor on the TV show was too sympathetic in some ways.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't, like, he wasn't menacing enough.
But yeah, well, they did a great job of, like, establishing of, like, this guy might be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can
trust him. Oh, no, he's
him.
crazy. Oh, no, he's not that crazy. I mean, he's got heads in fish tanks, but, you know.
Yeah, they never gave him that full twist turn where you're like, Jesus Christ, this guy is just bad shit out of control. We've got to put him down.
Even until the last minute before he executes Herschel, they're still like,
they're still like, hey, this guy's all right.
Yeah,
this guy's all right. Yeah, they never gave him that full turn. Whereas
Negan from his introduction,
they've established this guy's a dick, and that's fine, and that's good. But I think along the way, there has been moments I think that they've missed where they could have given us more moments like you're describing in the comic of like real good dialogue and conversation about people where you see both sides of it.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. So obviously the big upcoming movie is Troll Hunters Season 2. That's coming out on the 15th.
Okay.
No, it is, but the real big one obviously is Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
I was like, Troll Hunters? What the hell are you talking about?
I'm excited for Troll Hunters, but I'm much more excited for Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I am going nuts for it. Like, I am trying to figure out if I'm going to see it on Thursday as well as Friday.
We're going. We're going to figure it out. Yeah, I'm going to figure it out.
All right, well, keep in touch.
I mean, I get off work at 5-ish.
Yeah, but I got info session that night.
I don't care. You can skip one night. My God, man. Nobody's going to die if you don't show up.
All right, well.
We're talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. We'll talk about that
while we're talking that over. Don't forget to go to our website. I was about to say StarWarsTheLastJedi.com. That's not it. That's like Star Wars is just on my mind. I'm like completely unproductive at work.
Because
I'm just frozen and I'm just like, I need Star Wars.
Because I can't. Here's the problem. I can't. I'm like. God, like, what was I? Everywhere I turn, it's like, don't let someone spoil this for you.
Oh yeah, have you've seen those teasers that they've been running on Facebook? And there's one with a shot that feels super spoilery.
Yeah, with
you
Ray
saw the one? Okay, yeah, good. I was afraid I was gonna.
I saw that. I was like, oh, why would you show that to me?
We're gonna talk about that in our because we're gonna have a bonus episode.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was like, I want to tell someone about this, but I feel so alone.
Yeah, no, I saw it and I was like, why would you show that to me? I don't want to see that.
While we're discussing that, certainpov.com, all our podcasts, all our social media is there, certainpov.com, and until next time, stay scruffy, my nerf herders.